All right, guys, so this is fun. Joe Rogan had Tom Segura on his podcast. They were talking about politics, and Joe hit us with an interesting take out of left field here. This is his reaction to the Trump-Kamala debate.
Before I say anything, I just want to say, whoever's helping her, whoever's coaching her, whoever's the puppet master running the strings, you did a fucking amazing job.
She did a great job.
They did an amazing job from the moment Biden drops out, forcing Biden to drop out. Right, whatever they're doing, whoever's writing those speeches, getting her to deliver them, coaching her, she's nailing it. She nailed that one speech. She's like, "Say it to my face."
Oh, yeah,
everybody's cheering.
Yeah, she nailed it, dude.
And then last night, to me, when I was like, oh my God, this is jujitsu, where she's like, if you go to his rallies, his crowds are boring, they're tired, they all leave her. My crowds are the best crowds. I have the number one crowd. He couldn't help himself.
And she got him. She baited him on that. She walked him right into it.
100%. 100%. See, the difference in that debate was not a difference in like who's going to have better policies, who's going to be better for the country. The difference in the debate, in my opinion, was who was better prepared. She was way better prepared. And even when it came to answering tough questions, instead of answering, she would just say things that she believes.
Yes, sure.
And they sounded real good.
Yeah, that's
a soundbite.
That's called being a savvy politician.
It's also called being someone who's working with a team versus someone who's like, they said Trump, that deal was the best deal. They've never seen a deal like this before. They said, how did you put that deal together?
People think that was just brilliant. Yeah, I know. It's like,
he's not working with a team that's like, I mean, I know he's doing like mock debates. I know he did one with, I think he did one with Tulsi Gabbard, but someone needs to like tell him, like, you've got these tiny little windows and you should have all the words ready for those windows.
He started
there should be no repeating things.
Wow. Okay. So there's a lot of stuff to say about this. Let's start with that last claim first. He says, hey man, Trump is not working with the team. Someone needs to tell him basically that he has to be more soundbitey. You got to have all the words ready. You got to be able to get in and get out and have those memorable moments. Look, here's the thing, Joe. He actually is working with a team, and his team did give him good advice. And the problem is his Trumpiness overrode all of the training. You saw this in multiple instances, like, for example, when he was baited to talk about the race thing. He was trying to say, no, I mean, she could be whatever she wants to be. I don't have anything to say. She could be anything she wants to be. But I read that she wasn't black. And that, but Indian, it's up to her. It's totally up to her. You could tell that Chris LaCivita and whoever else was involved in the debate prep said, do not take the bait on the race thing. Don't bring up race. It was a big loser for you. You dropped in the polls when you said it. Everybody looks at you like you're weird because that's a weird thing to say. It's like, bringing up birtherism vis-a-vis Obama. That is not a winning issue for him. And that only is red meat to the base, and he needs more than the base now. He needs independents and moderates and swing voters, etc. And so he was coached. His debate prep team did their job, but he could not help himself. So here's the thing that a lot of Trump people need to understand. The problem is him. The problem is him. He's been given good advice time and time again. But if he doesn't take it and his worst aspects come out, the worst parts of him come out, you know what happens after that? He will point the finger at his debate prep team and make a fall guy and then get even closer to the people giving him the worst advice, the people who are willing to feed his ego and tell him, sir, you're right about everything and you really showed Kamala and that debate really was 3-on-1 and you really won anyway and you're doing great. And that's how you get to a point, guys, where Laura Loomer is next to him all the fucking time. And now he's out there repeating a lie from a Nazi group called Blood Tribe about Haitian immigrants eating cats. It's not remotely true. First of all, they're legal immigrants, not illegal immigrants, and they're not eating cats. It was total fake news, debunked 17 ways to Sunday. But he's out there repeating it and spreading cat memes because now he shut out the intelligent people and he brought closer to him the more crazy people to feed his worst impulses. Right? This is also what happened with like January 6th and Stop the Steal. He desperately tries to shut out the people who are giving him sound advice because he doesn't like what he's hearing, and he brings the psychos closer to him. This is the problem. The problem is Trump. The problem is Trump. Okay, so let's go through it some more. Look, even when complimenting how Kamala did it, he can't help but sort of take away credit. He says, whoever is helping her or coaching her or pulling the puppet strings. Again, notice, it's so when it comes to Trump, the idea is, oh, it's his team didn't coach him right. When it comes to Kamala, it's her team gets all the credit. She doesn't get the credit. It's the team. It's who's ever coaching her or pulling the puppet strings. No, see how that works? So Trump gets credit even when Trump gets it wrong, whenever something goes wrong, it's got to be people around him. When something goes right, it's got to be the other people. It's not her. It's the other people around her coaching her or pulling the strings, etc. Look, yes, was she hyper prepared for that debate? Yes. Did she have a strategy? Yes. But did she also just perform well in the moment? Yes, she did. And you got to be willing to call a spade a spade. So he did say she's nailing it, or she nailed it. I think he makes a great observation when he says this is jujitsu and that she baited him. That's absolutely accurate. That was definitely a strategy that they worked on beforehand, the baiting him thing, and it worked like a charm. And he knows with jujitsu, it's very high-minded. It's like playing chess. It's not like a street brawl and people are just throwing haymakers. No, there's like planning ahead and trying to outsmart your opponent. And basically what he's saying here is she was effectively coached to do that against Trump, and it worked really, really well. There's one point where I would disagree with him, where he said the debate wasn't about policy. I actually don't think that's true. There was one answer that really annoyed me from Kamala, where when she started talking, she just totally didn't answer the question. And that was the very first answer. She was asked like, hey, are things better now than they were 4 years ago? She was asked something like that. And then she goes, I'm from a middle-class family. And everybody's like, okay, come on. That answer annoyed the shit out of me. I like it when politicians directly answer the question. So on the first one, she did what he's saying she did. But later on, no, there was a lot of policy. There was a lot of I mean, think about when it came to the issue of abortion. She was all policy. She was giving real-world examples of people who've died because they didn't have access to abortion health care when they desperately needed it because of red state abortion bans. On the issue of immigration, she was the one who was super policy-focused. She's the one who said, look, we came up with a bipartisan bill. We were going to pass it. You're the one who killed it because you didn't want to fix the problem because you wanted to run on the problem. There was a lot of policy in there. The idea that, she didn't really touch on policy. There was plenty of policy. He said that instead of answering, she would just say what she believed. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think with a lot of the questions, she did answer them and she did go into policy. And yeah, there you have it. By the way, I love how it was either Tom or Joe said, she baited him. The reason I love that is because Matt Taibbi had an idiotic theory that there's like this massive conspiracy. There's collusion between mainstream media listening to a DNC talking point and regurgitating it. And that conspiracy is everybody said that she baited him. So obviously this is planned out and people are in on it. And they came up with this line and they're all running with it in this nefarious, smoke-filled backroom way in a conspiracy against Trump. And what's the reality? Of course there's no fucking conspiracy. People are saying that she baited Trump because she baited Trump. And it was the most obvious thing in the world to see. And so now you have people like Tom Segura and Joe Rogan, who are nobody's liberals, nobody's lefties, nobody's Democrats at this point. And they're like, yeah, she baited him. Maybe because Occam's razor is she fucking baited him and everybody could see that. It's one of the most obvious things. So that just blows up Taibbi's goofball theory. But guys, I guarantee you, if it didn't already happen, it's going to happen. I'm sure it is already happening. I'm sure the Trump people are furious with Rogan. I'm sure they are furious with Rogan. Because remember, somebody did a poll on his audience, the ideological makeup of his audience. And it was, and this is going back like probably 2 or 3 years ago. And even then, it was majority conservative, right? And I think it's probably only gotten more conservative since then. When you look at the topics that he's obsessed with and he talks about all the time, it is a lot of Democrat bashing. It's a lot of wokeness bashing. And you attract a certain kind of audience when that's what, a lot of your content is about. It's about, they're trying to stifle free speech and comedy, and that's unfair, and it's the problem of the ultra woke progressive left, etc. Having people on like Jordan Peterson all the time, having Ben Shapiro. I think it's very rare that you get somebody like me who's on there these days who's just an outright lefty, willing to make lefty arguments. And so it's sort of the water he swims in now. He attracted a particular kind of audience, and that kind of audience is not going to take kindly to comments like this. They're just not going to like it. They're just going to explode on him. And so I'm sure he's going through a little bit of that now. But there's one thing I know about Rogan. He, as a general rule, does not read feedback. He does not read comments because he knows that sometimes it could be an absolute cesspool. And in this instance, it absolutely will be, all because he's just basically pointing out the obvious. The obvious is, Kamala crushed it in that debate. Kamala destroyed Trump in that debate. And Trump was outwitted every single step of the way. But again, the difference is, I wouldn't necessarily. I think her team probably did a good job prepping her, but I also think she just did a good job. People forget that the very first debate she did when she was a Democratic primary challenger, she won that first debate. According to everybody, she won that first debate. According to the polls, she won that first debate. It was only after that she sort of faded into the background and collapsed. But clearly, she has the ability to do these things and do them well, and it worked. And so it worked, for the first debate in the Democratic primary, and it worked this time as well. By the way, if I was Trump, I would be begging for another debate. I wouldn't be out there saying, I don't want to debate again. He's going to need another debate. Now he's down 6 points in the polls. He needs another debate. He needs that. And he doesn't want to do it. So, okay, if you're Kamala, you're kicking your feet up and you're going, that's wonderful. I love that. But yeah, there you have it. Rogan saying Kamala crushed it. And I think that's accurate. And I've never seen such a unanimous reaction to a debate involving Trump. People forget Trump has, this label of being a fantastic debater. Because in the 2016 Republican primaries, he just curb stomped everybody. He absolutely destroyed Ted Cruz and Jeb Bush and Marco Rubio and John Kasich and Rand Paul. And he was a one-liner machine. He was funny. He was charismatic. And it worked. And then look, with the debates with Hillary, according to the polling, they were very close. I think Hillary won on actual substance, but Trump won in terms of the more memorable moments and being quicker on his feet and being charismatic. But this was the total collapse for the big guy. I think this debate for him was worse even than the one that he lost to Joe Biden because he was just badgering Joe Biden and he came across as distasteful. I think this loss was worse than that loss. And it appears to be very unanimous, which is why Fox News couldn't spin it on the night of. And Joe Rogan's out there saying, yeah, Kamala crushed it. That says something. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.